Hello, hello, hello. All right, all right. Welcome back to another episode of Shoot the Hoot Raw. I'm Chuck Taylor, co-founder and chief go-getter here at CyberHoot. And whether you're a longtime viewer or joining us for the first time, welcome to the nest. Okay, if you're an MSP, you probably know this feeling. Your client forwards you an email that says, "Hey, our cyber insurance renews next month. They sent us this questionnaire. Can you help?" And suddenly, you're starting a list of questions. You're starting this list of questions about phishing tests, training reports, MFA enforcement, security policies. Oh my. And you realize renewal season just got serious. Cyber, cybersecurity insurance used to be easy. Now it's one of those biggest cybersecurity conversations MSPs are having with their clients today. So today we're going to break down what's really going on with cyber insurance renewals, what underwriters are asking for, where MSPs get stuck, and also how to make renewal season a whole lot smoother. But first, let's take a look at today's flight plan. All right. All right. Here's where we're flying to today. Here's the agenda. Here's the plan. First up, our 5-minute rant, the renewal reality check. Because cyber insurance renewals used to be a formality. Now they feel more like a security audit. Underwriters want proof of training, phishing tests, MFA, and policies. And if your clients can't show it, renewal season gets very uncomfortable very fast. Next, we'll jump over to our CyberHoot Nerd Update, the small fixes, the smoother simulations, and smarter rankings. It's just a few of these updates that make training assignments cleaner, phishing simulations smoother, and leaderboards a little more honest about who's actually winning. Then we open things up for our open mic Q&A, cyber insurance questions. MSPs here every year. You know the ones. Do we really need training for insurance? What proof do they want? And why does the renewal form suddenly look like a security exam? And finally, our hoot-worthy horror story, got to have one, Cottage Health, where insurance said, ha ha ha, not so fast, a real-world case where a breach happened, an insurance claim was filed, and the insurer pushed back. Because what the policy said and what the security program actually was didn't quite match up. So buckle up, because today's episode is all about making sure your clients are ready before renewal season hits. So let's get to it. All right. So let's start with the obvious. Cyber insurance used to be that easy checkbox. You fill out a short form, you answer a few questions, you got some money, and boom, you're covered. But those days, well, those days are gone because insurers have been paying out billions in ransomware claims, right? So, in fact, the business email compromise alone has cost organizations over 55 billion globally, according to the FBI. So this is a serious issue. And insurance companies, they did what insurance companies do. They got stricter. Now renewals look more like mini security audits. They want proof of security awareness training, phishing simulations, MFA enforcement, incident response plans. And here's a twist. When clients get those renewal questionnaires, guess who they send them to? You, the MSP. So renewal season isn't just paperwork anymore. It's proof season. All right, now we got the part that makes MSPs sweat a little, the renewal questionnaire. You've seen it. It looks innocent. Just a few simple questions. But those questions are traps. It's a trap, right? Do you provide security awareness training? Yes. Do you run phishing simulations? Oh, yeah, we do that too. Is MFA enforced for all users? Yes, for sure. Now, here's the catch. If the answer to those questions is yes, the underwriter may say, great, that's awesome. Prove it to me. Send us the proof. They want proof of training. They want proof of phishing results. They want proof that MFA is actually enforced. Because insurers have figured something out. Companies love to say they're secure. They're not always ready to prove it. And when that questionnaire lands in your client's inbox, it usually gets forwarded to you with one short message. Hey, can you help us fill this out? Sounds innocent, right? And just like that, boom, congratulations. You're now part of the insurance renewal process. Yay, said no one ever. All right, here's where things start to fall apart a bit. Not because MSPs don't care about security, but because renewals sneak up on everyone. The email shows up from every client, this email. Hey, our cyber insurance renews in 2 weeks. They want proof of training, phishing tests, MFA, and security policies. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So guess what? Just became your top priority. Suddenly, everyone is digging through dashboards like, okay, do we have the phishing reports? And did that client ever finish their training? And where do we put that compliance report again? I can't remember. The security controls might actually exist, but if you can't prove them, the underwriter treats them like they don't exist. That's where MSPs get stuck. Not the technology, on the documentation. Because cyber insurance renewals don't run on good intentions, they run on evidence. And those renewal questionnaires is like an audit. Now for some good news, there's always some good news too, right? Underwriters aren't asking for perfect security. They know that doesn't exist. What they're looking for is something much, much simpler. Proof that risk is actually being managed. They want to see things like users completing security awareness training, phishing simulations showing improvement over time, MFA actually enforced across key systems, compliance reports that actually show activity, not just policies. In other words, they don't want a PowerPoint security program. They want a living one, something that runs every month, something that produces reports, something that shows security isn't just a once a year checkbox, right? Because when insurers see consistent training, testing, and documentation, you know what they see? They see reduced risk. And reduced risk makes renewals and claims go a whole hell of a lot smoother. Now, here's the opportunity for MSPs. Cyber insurance renewals don't have to be chaos season. Not at all. They can actually be your competitive advantage. Because when security awareness training is running every month, when phishing simulations are happening automatically, and when your compliance reports are already sitting in your dashboard, renewal time comes easy. It's a piece of cake. Instead of scrambling, you just say, here you go. Here's the training reports. Here are the phishing metrics. Here's your proof of MFA policies. Here's our compliance summaries. That difference is simple. You're not preparing for insurance once a year. No. You're running a security program all year long. When that renewal questionnaire shows up, you're not guessing. You're ready. Now, if you're an MSP and renewal season keeps turning into this last-minute scramble, ShootTheHoot can help. We put together something specifically for this. It's called our Cyber Insurance Renewal Review. Basically, we'll walk you through the kind of things underwriters are asking for right now. Things like the training, the phishing simulations, the reporting, and all that documentation that insurers typically want to see. The goal is simple. Make sure your clients are actually prepared for those renewal questionnaires showing up. If you'd like to talk through an environment, through your environment or a few client scenarios, you can schedule a quick link with our team here. Boom. Schedule this conversation with us. It's an easy way to see kind of where things stand and make sure renewal season doesn't turn into panic season. All right, so now that we talked about surviving cyber insurance renewal season, let's switch gears and head over to the ShootTheHoot Nerd Update, where we show you what's new, what's improved, and what the team's been building behind the scenes. Okay, now that we've talked about all these things, it's time for this quick update. First, ShootTheHoot improvements. We've updated custom hoots, ShootTheHoot. ShootTheHoot's always improving. Custom hoots improvements. We updated the assignments logic, so when we assign a custom hoot to a group, every user in that group gets the active assignments automatically. Before, it would limit some of the assignments depending on when the users were created and added to the system. Now it behaves the way you'd expect. You assign the training program or the custom hoot out once, and everyone gets it, even when they're added to the platform later. Next, a small but annoying issue we fixed. Some admins were getting a not authorized to use template message when trying to create a random hootfish custom hoot. That's gone now. Admins can build simulations without the system acting like they're suspicious bouncers. Who's going to get in? We also added additional protections to reduce attack fish false positives, because nothing ruins a good phishing report like the system crying wolf, right? No more of those false positives. And finally, leaderboards. We updated the sortings of the leaderboards. I noticed this when we had someone new join. They had 100%. They were at the top of the list at number one. I'm like, how's this guy number one? He just started with the company. I've been here for 10 years. What's going on? So what we did was we updated those rankings that now follow the actual ranked order instead of getting a little creative with it, which means bragging rights are now officially accurate. Okay. Now we sort it by the rank and the score, not just the score. Right? A little bit better. So that's your nerd update. We've got cleaner simulations for you. We've got better automation and scoreboards that finally tell the truth. So, all right. We've talked about what underwriters want, where MSPs get stuck, and how to make renewal season a lot less stressful. So let's open things up to a few questions. And if nobody's got one, if no one throws any questions in the chat, it's not a problem. No worries. I always got a few around. Some of these questions I have are the most common ones that MSPs will get from clients, this time of year. Oh, but before we do that, where's my drum roll? I don't have time to do the drum roll, but drum roll. Tell you what you can do. Be the first. The email renewal10@ShootTheHoot@cyber.com and get 10% off your next invoice. Type it in, click send, and get that 10. If you're not watching this live, no worries. Email us anyway. I'm gonna give you the 10% off because I'm a nice guy. All right. Let's hop over to our next slide here. Boom, slide 9. Okay. Let's talk about some questions MSPs hear every single renewal season, because once those questionnaires land in your client's inbox, suddenly everyone becomes very interested in cybersecurity. So questions. Our first question here. Do we really need security awareness training for insurance? Yep. Yes, you do. Yes. Short answer, yes. Long answer, yes. Middle answer, yes. Or all yes. You need cybersecurity awareness training for insurance. Most cyber insurance providers now require documented user training as part of the underwriting. Why? Because phishing and business email compromise are responsible for billions of losses every year. From an insurance perspective, untrained users equal higher risk. And training shows that the organization is actively trying to reduce that risk. And that can influence approval, coverage, or even premiums. All right. Next question. What kind of proof do insurers actually want? Well, usually looking for things like, they want your training completion records. Are you showing your compliance records, right? They want to see phishing simulations, traditional phish testing results, or phishing training results. We got that so that it's approved. Our HootFish is approved for cybersecurity insurance requirements. They also want evidence that your MFA is being enforced. Documented security policies. I see all the time people signing up for cybersecurity training, and they don't really ask much about the policies. And I always push that they can do policy management through our autopilot platform as well, because you want to be able to make sure you're dotting all the I's and crossing T's. When you submit that claim, you want to make sure it's actually being paid, not partially, not denied, but being paid in full. And the more information and the more cybersecurity items you have in place, the better off you're going to be, right? So in other words, you need evidence and not just statements. And if a client answers yes to a security question, underwriters may ask for the documentation to actually back that up. That's why having those reports ready and handy makes renewal season much, much easier. All right. Last question here. What's the biggest mistake companies make during renewal? I'd say the biggest mistake is actually just waiting until the renewal email shows up in their inbox, right? Security programs that only exist during renewal season usually fall apart under scrutiny. It's just not going to deliver. The companies that sail through renewals are the ones that run training, phishing simulations, and reporting all year long. So when the questionnaire shows up, they're not scrambling. Oh, what do we do? No. They're prepared. And honestly, I mean, those three questions alone probably explain about 90% of the headaches MSPs deal with nowadays during the cyber insurance renewal season. So if you can answer those questions and be ready, you're good to go. So, all right. So we talked about questionnaires, proof, and why insurers are getting stricter. But what happens when a company thinks they're covered and the insurer disagrees? We talked about a real case that made a lot of security teams very, very uncomfortable. All right. Back in 2015, a healthcare organization in California named Cottage Health experienced a serious data exposure. More than 32,000 patient medical records were accidentally made public and accessible online. Sensitive data, medical information, personal identifiers, exactly the kind of breach organizations buy cyber insurance to protect against. So, Cottage Health, they had their insurance. So what do? They filed a claim under their policy. Simple enough. The amount, just a measly $4 million in breach-related costs, right? But here's the thing: instead of having the claim paid immediately by the insurer, who was Columbia Casualty Company, instead they pushed back. Their argument was that healthcare provider had not maintained the minimum security controls required by the policy. So specifically, the insurer claimed that the organization had failed to continuously maintain certain protections that were represented in their insurance application. That's sad. So the insurer filed a lawsuit seeking to deny coverage to their claim. So now the insurance company is filing a lawsuit saying, we're not going to cover this. Now, the case ultimately did settle out of court in 2017. The final settlement terms were not publicly disclosed, so I don't have any information for you. Sorry, boo, I know. But the impact of this case was really huge. It sent a very clear message to the entire cybersecurity and insurance industry. Cyber insurance is not just about having a policy. It's about maintaining the controls you said you had. And if an organization claims it provides things like security awareness training, phishing testing, security controls, and risk management practices, underwriters are increasingly expect to see evidence that those controls are actually operating and in place. Because when a breach happens, those renewal questionnaires suddenly become very important documents. So that's the difference between having coverage and proving you deserve it. So let's bring this home and talk about what MSPs should do before the next renewal email lands. So cyber insurance renewals are getting tougher. No question about it. Underwriters aren't just asking questions anymore. They're asking for proof of training, proof of phishing simulations, proof that security controls are actually running, not just written down somewhere in a policy document. Now for MSPs, that creates both a challenge and an opportunity. The challenge is obvious. Renewal season can turn into a scramble if you're trying to gather everything at the last minute. But the opportunity is huge. If you're helping clients run ongoing security programs, training, phishing, reporting, documentation, then renewal season becomes a whole hell of a lot easier, right? So instead of guessing, you can simply say, here's the evidence. We're good. If you'd like help reviewing your environment or preparing for the upcoming renewal, we offer a cyber insurance renewal review where we talk and walk through the kinds of things insurers are actually asking for right now. All you have to do is visit us at cyber.com, MSP Cyber Insurance Renewal Review. Schedule a call with me. We'll have a conversation about your needs, about cyber insurance, how to prepare so that when the time comes, you're not scrambling. You're ready, you're prepared, and you got the evidence, both in screenshots and in reports, any way they want it. All right, so if today's episode helps you think about cyber insurance renewals a little differently, give it a like, share it with another MSP, and subscribe for future episodes. Until then, I want you guys to do what you always do. I want you to laugh, I want you to learn, and of course, hoot up. Hoot up!